Welcome back. Today we are going to talk about meeting the residents' needs for comfort and rest. So, rest and sleep are very important because they're needed for physical and mental well being. So, we need these to keep our bodies going and keep our minds going. So, rest and sleep routines that meet the needs of the individual residents will be better rather than the needs of the staff or the facility. A lot of facilities are going to what's called a natural sleep wake cycle. So, this means that rather than the facility going around at the beginning of the morning and it's 6 o'clock, day shift's coming on, breakfast starts at 7. We've got an hour to get everybody up and get into the dining room. So, we go around and start waking everybody up. Morning, it's time to get up. Let's get dressed, go to breakfast. Well, I don't really want to get up. Well, we don't want you to miss breakfast this morning. Oh, okay. I'll get up. That doesn't really sound like the resident really wants to get up, does it? So, we are going kind of against their natural sleep wake cycle. Now, some of you may be morning people and it's 6 o'clock and you're lying in bed thinking, why am I not up yet? I'm used to getting up at 4 a.m. I've done that forever. Doesn't matter if I have an alarm or not. I'm ready to go at 4 o'clock in the morning. 6 o'clock is late. We're burning daylight. Let's go. Some of you may not like to get up till 9 o'clock. Somebody comes in and wakes you up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Get out of my room. I'm not ready to get up. I want to sleep. So, what we're doing with the natural sleep wake cycle is allowing residents to fall asleep when they naturally will and allowing them to get up when they naturally will. Of course, we're going to check on people, and if somebody's sleeping excessively, we'll wake them up. But if we go in, check on them, say, well, it's about 10 o'clock. Are you ready to get up? No, not quite yet. Okay. We'll let you sleep a little bit longer. Most of our residents and facility is not are not going to sleep quite that late, but if they have things like dementia or other kinds of conditions that throw off their circadian rhythm, which is their natural ability to know that it's nighttime and know that it's daytime and when they're supposed to be awake and when they're asleep, if that's thrown off, then they might get their nights and days mixed up. But the sleep wake cycle means if it's 9 o'clock at night and I'm not ready to go to bed yet, I don't have to go to bed yet. I'm still awake. If you put me in bed, I'm going to lay awake and stare at the ceiling for 3 hours. That's not okay. That's not a good quality of life for your residents. If they're night owls, find them something to do. If they don't like to get up early in the morning, okay, check on them. Make sure they're still alive. Make sure that they still have everything they need. Make sure if they're incontinent, of course, you're still going to check on people with that. And that's an unfortunate side effect that's going to happen with the natural sleep wake cycle, not the incontinence itself, but having to wake people up and then they go back to sleep. But anyway, if you have people that have a natural later sleep wake cycle, then we're going to accommodate for that. Now, a lot of staff will have definite issues with that because they think, well, how am I going to get this done? How am I going to get all these people out to breakfast? How am I going to get my showers done? How am I going to get all these people fed? How am I going to get them dressed? Well, today's bingo day. I need to get everybody fed and dressed and showered by 10 o'clock so they can go down and play bingo. Well, the purpose of the sleep wake cycle and pretty much everything in culture change, it's not about you. It is not about your schedule and what you need to do as the CNA. It is about the residents and what they want. Yes, all those tasks are still going to have to be done, but they don't have to be done all at once. Unless you have, 12 residents that say, I want to be up and at the dining room at 7 o'clock. I am considering myself late for breakfast if I'm there at 7:01, so I want you to wake me up and get me down there. You may have people that will say that. Most of the time it's because we have conditioned them that way. We have done the typical traditional nursing home model of 7 o'clock. We got to get everybody up at 6, got to get them down to the breakfast by 7, get them fed, get them changed, showered, dressed, out to bingo at 10. That's our traditional model because we are very, very task oriented. Yes, we are still taking care of the residents' needs. Yes, we are not depriving them of anything. No, we are not neglecting them of anything. But that may not be what the residents want. But we have conditioned them to now, if we don't wake them up at 6 o'clock, it is hard for them to stay asleep. You may have those people that were farmers at home that woke up at 4 o'clock every morning. It's time to go feed the cows. Let's go feed the cows. And they, get to 6 o'clock in the nursing home and they're wide awake, thinking we're burning daylight. Let's go. We're wasting time. That's okay. That is their natural pattern. That is not something that we have induced on them. But if you have the people that maybe worked evening shift, they didn't get up until 10 o'clock in the morning because they wouldn't go to bed until 3. And now we're waking them up at 6 a.m., getting ready to go out to breakfast by 7. We've done that for a few years. Now we're going to the natural sleep wake cycle. Their body's still telling them to get up at 6 a.m. whether they want to or not because we have done that to them. So it's best to just really, from the time somebody comes into the nursing home or the facility, to really go with that natural sleep wake cycle and ask them, what do you want? How do you want us to get you up? Do you want to be out to breakfast by 7 a.m.? Or are you okay coming a little bit later? We're still going to feed you. You're not going to be, deprived of food just because you don't want to come out at 7. But we want to know what you want. So I know that's kind of a long thing about uh, the sleep wake cycle, but it's very, very important. And you need to know what your facility policy is on that. You need to know what's expected of you as a CNA. Does your facility expect you to be more task oriented, or do they expect you to be more resident scheduled oriented? That's something that you're going to have to decide for yourself too. Is if you can work someplace that's more task oriented, or if you want to work someplace that's more resident centered time schedule. So, some of the things that you can do to promote rest and sleep. Make sure that you follow that existing pattern if you know it. Family is very important. Family may be able to tell you, well, yeah, dad was a farmer. He got up at 4 every morning. Even when he retired from farming and I took over, then he still was up at 4 every morning, up in his wheelchair, wanting to go outside and look at the cows. He still was active in that. So he wants you to get him up at 4 every morning because that's the way that he likes to do things. He wants to go to sleep at 8 o'clock every night so that he can be ready for that 4 o'clock cow feeding. So absolutely get information from family about what people like, what people don't like, their different patterns, their different histories. That information should all be gathered whenever someone comes into the facility. But, families forget, or you may have family that's bringing the person into the facility and helping you get them checked in. That's not the primary caregiver that's been there. You may have that family that decides, well, you know, I've been in New Jersey for 3 years, haven't seen mom and dad for a while. I really want to help them out and get them settled into the nursing home and spend that time with them. They may have no idea what the residents' habits are. May have no clue what time the person liked to wake up, what time they like to go to bed, how they like to wake up. All of their different patterns may be completely different than the way they were when when that family member lived with them last. This may be a daughter or son that moved out of the house at 18, hasn't been back. Now they're 55, trying to help their mom or dad get into a nursing home, and they have no clue what that pattern has been existing. They're trying their best and trying to help out and want to be there, but they may not have any idea. So it might take a little bit of time when that person comes in. The incoming nurse may ask, well, what time does your dad like to go to bed? What time does he like to wake up? When does he like to take his showers? All of that good stuff. But if the family that's checking them in at the time doesn't know, they may not have that information to give. So it's been a week or two. You've been getting Mr. Jones up at 7 o'clock. And one day he finally tells you, he says, I've been awake since 4. I want to get up at 4 o'clock because that's one time I've gotten up every single morning for the past 80 years. Okay, Tell your charge nurse so that information can be incorporated into the care plan. Pass along and report. Kind of get that information in your head so that you can get Mr. Jones back to his normal schedule where he wants to be. And then you may have, the charge nurse may think about calling the family that's been around him more often in the past few years and say, hey, your sister checked your dad in, and now your dad's telling us, well, I like to get up at 4 in the morning. We didn't know that before. Is there anything else that you can tell us to make, his stay better? Or, anything else that you can tell us to help us take care of him better? So that may be why we need to get family involved, not just on the admission process, but throughout the entire stay at the facility. Follow your specific measures that are part of your resident's care plan. If they have a specific time that they want to go to bed, if they have a specific time that they want to wake up, or if they say, well, I just want to go to bed when I want to go to bed, and I want to get up when I want to get up. Okay, that's great. Follow whatever's in that care plan. Provide an environment of rest. You want to provide a calm environment. I know this is kind of hard sometimes in a facility if there's a lot of stuff going on, but, you know, provide an environment in that room that's calm, soothing. See if they like to have, a white noise machine. If they like to listen to the sound of the waves as they go to sleep. If they like to listen to music. If they like to have, some kind of scented oil or something like that in the facility. Now you can't burn candles, but you may be able to have something else going on to help provide that scent if it helps calm them down. This also is important to talk about when you think of the environment without all the stuff that you can add, but think about the stuff that you can take away. Make sure that the trash is out. Make sure that the person has, fresh water if they like to drink water, throughout the night if they wake up and want to sip. Make sure that you have the blinds closed so that they can sleep. So, all of those things are going to kind of help provide an environment of rest. If the resident complains of the mattress being uncomfortable, you may want to check with the charge nurse and see if you have some kind of mattress overlay or can get a different one so that the person can sleep a little bit better. You want to regulate sound, light, temperature, and ventilation. Now, sound, this is where the staff need to pay attention. Some of our residents don't sleep well at night, and it's our fault because we're used to being up, we're doing work, we've got stuff to do, we got to do our tasks, we need to talk to our coworkers. Not all of our residents are deaf. They may hear every single word that you are saying to your coworker down the hall. So please keep that in mind. Walk down the hall to talk to somebody rather than yelling down the hall to get their attention. Unless it's an emergency. Of course, there's exceptions. But generally, you want to walk and meet that person in the hall and talk to them rather than yelling down the hall and saying, hey, can you come help me real quick? I gotta take John to the bathroom. Well, if you're not John and you're overhearing that, A, that's a HIPAA violation on the part of the CNAs that are yelling up and down the hall. And B, that's an ethical violation too. You really don't need to be talking about residents out in the hall like that. Yes, if you have an emergency situation, that's understandable. But if there's a situation where you can stop what you're doing and walk down the hall and talk to somebody, do that rather than yelling down the hall and disrupting that resident's sleep that's trying to sleep and maybe their door's open. Light. Light is a big thing. Now, we want to make sure that we keep enough light to keep people safe, especially those that are independent with their ambulation and they get up and go to the bathroom at night. But we also don't want to keep too much light. Some people are able to sleep with every single light in the room on. Most people aren't. So we want to turn down the lights. This includes turning down the lights in the hall in the evening. Yes, we have to keep enough on to keep it safe for our residents and for our staff, but you don't need all of the lights on and make it daylight in there. So turn the lights down in the hall, turn the lights down in their room, maybe keep a night light on, or there's some places that will have, you know, constant running night lights in the walls, and that's fine. Close the blinds, maybe close the curtains if they've got curtains. Make sure that their bed is not positioned where that street light that comes around the edge of the blinds is not shining right in their eyes. That's going to make it very, very hard for your resident to sleep. They may be okay with it, but if you notice that it's hard for them to sleep, you may ask them, is that light getting in your eye? Yeah, you may not be able to rearrange their bed, that night, but you may be able to pass it on to report for a day shift to do it the next day, or somebody to kind of get that bed repositioned where the light's not going to shine in the resident's eye. Because chances are, if that street light's shining in all night on their face, next morning the sun is going to be right in the exact same spot and going to wake them up way too early. Temperature. Now, we've kind of talked a lot about not changing the temperature in the resident's room to suit our needs, but making sure that it suits their needs. This is important at night as well, and during the day when they want a nap, because a lot of residents may want to keep it warmer during the day and cooler at night. Warmer during the day because they're not under the covers, they're up moving around, they've got a little bit of activity, they've got their body temperature up. But at night or when they're napping, because they're not doing quite as much, they may need it a little bit warmer, or they may want it a little bit cooler because they're getting under the blankets. So some people like to be under the blankets but may like their face to be a little bit cooler. Ask your resident. See what they like. If you notice somebody is sweating all night and kicking all their covers off, chances are it's too hot in there. So just ask them what they want. Ventilation. This is another good one. Most nursing homes will not allow you to open the windows, or they will not allow you to leave them open a lot. So ventilation is going to come with having the doors open. Some residents are allowed to have their doors shut. Some may not for safety reasons. Because if you've got a resident that likes to get up and move by themselves that shouldn't, you may need to leave their door open at all times just to make sure that they're safe, make sure that you can hear them and see them if they're having, if they're trying to get up by themselves and they shouldn't be. But ventilation, you may have, say you have a resident that is hot all the time and they keep their room cool and they like their door open, but they're still hot. You may need to get a fan. Kind of use your resources that are available to you. Ask your maintenance department if you have fans. Ask, if there's anything else that you can do to kind of help provide that airflow. So, some of the things you can do also to help promote rest is providing for comfort. Make sure that you address those bodily needs. If they're hungry at bedtime, offer them a snack. Offer them water if they're thirsty. Make sure you take people to the bathroom before you help lay them down for a nap or to go to sleep at night. These are very, very big things and super easy things that you can help make sure that that resident is able to sleep and get the rest that they need. You also want to promote pain relief. Now, of course, we know that U.S. CNAs cannot give medications, but if you notice that your resident is in pain, and you maybe offer them, a back rub if their back hurts, you maybe offer them a hot washcloth or something, and they say, no, I really want a pain pill. Go let your nurse know. Make sure that you let the nurse know immediately so that they can get that taken care of. So you want to definitely promote pain relief. Positioning is important with that too, because if you've got somebody with chronic pain in, say, their left hip, they may not want to lay on their left hip. So they may want to get in a different position and support maybe their knees with pillows or their ankles with pillows or something like that. Get them in a comfortable position where they're going to be able to sleep well. So always listen to your residents' concerns and worries. This is not only important with rest and sleep, but just in general. But we want to listen to our residents' concerns or worries. If they're having trouble sleeping at night, if they say, well, I'm worried that I'm going to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and I'm going to wet my bed. maybe ask them, would you like us to wake you up at night and take you to the bathroom so that doesn't happen? Easy fix. Yes, that means waking them up, interrupting their sleep, but if they're going to wake up anyway and be in a wet bed and have to take even longer changing the bed, be embarrassed, be cold, be, smelling like urine, then it's easier to wake somebody up and take them to the bathroom and completely avoid that problem in the first place. And you may avoid a fall that way as well if the resident doesn't want to embarrass themselves or doesn't want to bother the staff. So, report any observations and resident concerns to your nurse. So, if your resident does say, well, I'm worried about wetting the bed at night, then let the nurse know. See, sometimes they might wet the bed at night because they may be on a water pill or diuretic. Now, those are going to get rid of edema, but they do that by making you pee. If you give that too late in the day, your resident is going to be awake at night having to go to the bathroom. So that may need to be adjusted to where they get it earlier in the day. So it may be a medical issue or a medication issue of why they have that concern or worry. Also, report any different observations that you have. If you have a resident that normally, goes to bed 9 o'clock at night, they're asleep in a few minutes, they sleep solid, 8, 9 hours at night, wake up well rested, they're in a pretty good mood. I don't see this happening very often, but it could. But if you have that resident that has that nice pattern there, and now, you work second shift or third shift, you come in at 10, your resident's usually asleep. Well, you go check on them at midnight, they're wide awake. They have not been to sleep yet. They say they can't get to sleep. That's the kind of stuff that you need to report to the nurse because they may need some kind of medication or some kind of intervention to help them sleep at night like they used to. So that goes along with reporting the sleep pattern to the nurse and reporting if people wake up in the middle of the night and can't go back to sleep. Some people have no trouble falling asleep, but some people have trouble staying asleep. And then say they go to sleep at 10 and they wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and they can't go back to sleep. Then they're up the whole day, falling asleep during meals, falling asleep during the activities that they want to go to, falling asleep, during various things because they didn't sleep well the night before. That's something that can be addressed as well. So, some of those changes may be an early sign of some physical problem that the person is experiencing, especially with some of your residents with dementia. Because your residents with dementia will need to express themselves in a different way than just telling you. They may not be able to tell you. They may, be up at night pacing, not being able to sleep, kind of worried, wringing their hands, kind of fretful. Well, that may be because they're in pain. So they may need some kind of pain medicine to help them relax and sleep at night. So that's something that can also be reported to the nurse as well. So, comfort and relief of pain is definitely necessary for the resident to experience the quality of life that they need to. So, we've already kind of talked about calling pain the fifth vital sign. So, this will kind of help reinforce the importance of observing for pain in our residents and acting on any abnormal findings. So, pain is very important to get controlled, and a lot of places consider pain as being a medical emergency and you need to get it taken care of right away. So, pain can cause the resident to restrict physical activity and social interaction. So, think about your residents that have back pain. They normally love to get out and go to bingo, but maybe the chairs aren't quite comfortable that they sit in. And they don't want to complain. So, they may stop going to bingo or go less, or maybe go to bingo and leave halfway through and they just don't want to say anything. It may be because of pain. So you can ask the person, well, why'd you leave bingo? Well, I just really couldn't sit there any longer. That may be a sign that they're having pain. That if they're saying that they can't sit there because, they may not tell you it's because my back hurts, but they may be experiencing pain. So try to pick up on things like that and definitely let your nurse know. So, some other consequences could be sleep deprivation, poor nutrition, and depression. So, pain, especially if people have like back or stomach pain, they may not want to eat. So, say they have pain in their stomach and it gets worse when they eat, or it doesn't change when they eat. People may be fearful of trying to eat something if they already have pain in their stomach, thinking that the pain is going to get worse whenever they do eat. So they really may have poor nutrition. And also, the pain may be distracting them from eating. Think about again your dementia people. People with pain with dementia may be sitting at the dining room table, get distracted, you try to cue them to eat. They are thinking about their pain. They don't know how to express it, but they're thinking about their pain. So that may be something that needs to be kind of addressed as well. Depression. People can be depressed because of pain. People can have pain because of depression. It is a vicious, vicious cycle. So if you notice somebody's looking kind of down, they're kind of mopey, they're maybe withdrawing from the things that they used to like to do, they really don't want to go out and go to bingo anymore. They're not having, they're having trouble sleeping, and they're just really not themselves. Could be a sign of pain, could be a sign of depression, could be a sign of both, and those things are going to compound each other. So definitely do not ignore pain. Even if someone has chronic pain issues, it should never be said, "Oh, well, her back always hurts. That's just normal for her." That's not normal. That may be the baseline for that person, but that's not normal. That's something that needs to be addressed. And you may never get the pain under control. The doctors may try everything, they may never get the pain under control, but we need to keep trying anything we can to help with pain interventions. So, you can help observe for both presence of pain and the effectiveness of measures to manage or relieve pain. Now, it is not your job to follow up with a resident if they get a pain pill. That's the med aid's job and the nurse's job. However, you can tell the nurse, well, Mr. Jones is kind of grabbing at his back and he's kind of grimacing. I think he's in pain. Because you're going to be able to tell when people are in pain, or you're going to be able to suspect that people are in pain. That's up to the nurse to determine, what it is and what to do, but you can absolutely let them know that something's going on. So then, say you report to the nurse, Mr. Jones is grimacing, he looks like he's in pain, and they say, okay, and they give him a pain pill. Now, it's not your job to go back in an hour and make sure that that pain pill was effective. However, if you see Mr. Jones, a little bit later, and he's walking a lot better and he's not grimacing anymore and he kind of smiles at you where he hadn't before, that's absolutely a sign that he's had pain relief. So that may be something that you can tell the nurse and just say, I'm glad you gave Mr. Jones that pain pill. He seems to be feeling better now. That is a wonderful thing to do. Give that feedback if you see it. Again, not your job, but it's not going to hurt if you give that feedback and help out with that, with the healthcare team to let them know that the pain medicine is effective. So, pain is a subjective experience. Pain is absolutely what the resident says it is. Pain is individual and it varies. You may have two people that have the same condition that may report different levels of pain. Because you may have people that don't experience the pain the same way. Say you have two residents, both the same age, same height, same weight, same types of medical conditions going on. Pretty similar. They both get skin tears. Or they both fall and hit their heads. One may rate pain at a 2 out of 10, the other may rate pain at an 8 out of 10. It's absolutely up to the individual how they feel and what they're going to tell you. So, the resident's previous experience and cultural background may also influence if or how pain is reported and described. So, keep this in mind. A lot of your residents, especially some of the older men, are not going to tell you that they're in pain. They will sit there and they will take it, and they will, a lot of them think, or they've been raised, that pain is a sign of weakness. They are not allowed to express pain. They are not allowed to let you know that they are hurting. They keep it to themselves because they think this is the way I was raised, this is what I'm supposed to do. So they will sit and suffer in silence. And this is unfortunate for some of our residents. So we want to try to encourage them to let us know if they are having pain so we can get it taken care of. Again, some people may never tell you, but if you see somebody sitting and grimacing, or they're having more trouble getting up and out of the chair, or they're grabbing their back, or they're, clutching their stomach, those are all signs of pain. So those are all things that need to be taken care of. Absolutely. So let's talk about the difference between subjective and objective reporting. Objective reporting is going to be all of the things that you can use your senses to tell. So things you can see, things you can hear, things you can touch, things you can smell. Hopefully you will not taste anything for residents. But you can use all the other senses to get objective information. So you can see that Herman is grabbing his back or clutching his stomach. His face is grimacing, his eyebrows are furrowed, and he is gritting his teeth. That's your objective information. Your subjective is going to lead you to the opinion that Herman is in pain. So always remember the difference between your objective and your subjective. And if your resident tells you anything, you want to use those residents' words to report it to the nurse. So, absolutely, if the resident tells you, my back is hurting, it's been hurting for a while, and it's getting worse, take that information to the nurse. You can let them know. Herman's grabbing his back, he's grimacing, he's gritting his teeth, he says his back is hurting, it's been hurting for a while, and it's getting worse. What can we do to help him? So, if they tell you any more information about the pain, report it. So, some residents may use words to describe the location. They may say, oh, well, it hurts in my tushy. Okay. So it hurts in your tushy. Yeah, it hurts worse when I try to go to the bathroom. And it's been hurting for a couple days now. I just didn't want to say anything. Okay. So we know that going to the bathroom aggravates the pain, makes it worse. Is there anything that makes it better? Well, after I finish going to the bathroom, it feels better. Okay. That's all good information that we'll tell the nurse. And by the way, those are all signs that somebody might be really constipated. So, kind of keep that in mind as well. So, a pain rating scale may be used by the nurse to help the resident describe pain or pain relief. Most of the time, a numeric scale is used on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 being no pain, 10 being the worst pain you've ever felt in your life. And again, pain is going to be different for everybody. So, what is a pain level of 2 for one person, maybe an 8 for somebody else, even if it's the same thing that's causing the pain. So, you have to understand terminology that's used on the scale to be able to report changes to the nurse. So, somebody might say, well, it hurts a little bit. Well, it's kind of mild. Well, it's not too bad. It's just kind of twinging. It's kind of irritated. It's kind of aggravated. I don't really hurt. I'm not in pain, but I'm just sore. Those are all signs of mild pain, usually on a scale that's like 1 to 2 or 3 or 4. So, kind of mild pain. Then, if they say, well, it's kind of smarting, it's starting to hurt a little bit. Or, It's really kind of aggravating me, but it's not too bad yet. Or, well, I can stand it, but if you have something to help, I think I'll take it. Those are all kind of terminology for moderate pain, and your residents aren't going to say, well, I have moderate pain at a level 5 out of 10 in my right buttock. So you got to kind of help interpret that. If you don't know what they're talking about, just send the nurse in, because you're still going to report all these things to the nurse anyway. So, some different things to help to describe severe pain. So, things like maybe an 8 to 10 on the pain scale. Oh, it hurts a lot. That's hurting really bad. That's burning like fire. It feels like somebody is stabbing me. Those are all signs of severe pain and need to be taken care of immediately, just like all the other ones. But definitely, the severe pain kind of ups it a notch on the hurry scale. So, definitely understand that terminology that's used. So, if the resident is unable to describe the pain, look for nonverbal behavior for clues. Has there been a change in the resident's behavior? Are they usually in a pretty good mood and today they're just, ah, leave me alone. Don't touch me. Don't get anywhere near that. That doesn't feel good. And they normally might be, you may be their favorite person in the world, but today they're not having it. So that may be a change in their behavior. Does the resident's face show grimacing, frowning, tightness? Are they clenching their teeth? Are they restless? Trying to shift positions? Are they tense? Sometimes your muscles will tense up if you're in pain. Does the resident moan or cry out? Especially if you're trying to turn somebody. That's a lot of kind of moving their body. Is there anything that aggravates or alleviates the expression of pain? So, if you're walking somebody and you notice that they are in pain, does it hurt worse when you turn a corner? Does it hurt, are they okay walking, but when they sit, it hurts? Or what makes it better? Does it make it better by sitting rather than walking? What's going on with that? Report those observations of pain to the nurse immediately. So, another way that you can tell if somebody's in pain is their vital signs will change. So, if you've got somebody that's hurting and you need to go take vitals, a lot of times their blood pressure is going to be elevated. Sometimes their pulse will be elevated. Sometimes their respirations will be elevated. Sometimes even their temperature might be mildly elevated. So you'll see all of these different things. And maybe their pulse ox, their oxygenation level will be slightly lower. All of these things are things you're going to see with changes in vital signs if somebody's having pain. So, some different measures that we can use to relieve pain. Only the nurse or the certified medication aide can give medication to help relieve pain, but you can still do a lot of things as CNAs. So, you want to make sure that if the resident has specific things in their care plan to help alleviate pain, that you follow those. So, always look to the care plan first. Of course, you're still going to report to the nurse, see if there's anything that they suggest that you do, but check your care plan. See if there's any known measures to help alleviate that pain that are in there. So, you want to use positioning and movement measures. Make sure that you assist resident to a safe position of comfort and good alignment. So, this means their spine is straight. They might have their hips flexed in that Sims position, or they may be completely flat, or they may be, propped up on pillows, however is comfortable for them. And there's always try to find more pillows if you have to. Sometimes that can be a big, big thing. Sometimes even you helping them, even if the positioning itself is not relieving their pain, sometimes just knowing that someone is trying to help them will help relieve their pain. Because pain and anxiety kind of go hand in hand. If you are in pain, you're going to be anxious. If you are anxious, you're going to be thinking about the pain that magnifies the pain more. Then you're going to be more anxious, and the horrible cycle starts. So sometimes just knowing that someone is trying to do something for you will help relieve some of that anxiety and help relax and lessen that pain. So definitely make sure that you help make sure your resident is comfortable. Ask them what's comfortable. Pay attention to their facial expressions. If they start relaxing, if they close their eyes, if their eyebrows aren't furrowed anymore, if they relax their jaw, those are all signs that they're starting to get pain relief. So movement may help relieve muscle spasms and stiff joints. So you may want to do some range of motion exercises. Those we will talk about in a later unit, but that may help also if you've got that sometimes not necessarily the osteoarthritis, but some of the other issues going on with the musculoskeletal system. Sometimes range of motion will help as well. But just make sure never push a joint past the point of pain. If they start saying that they're hurting more when you're doing range of motion, don't push it that far. Avoid any jerking motions when assisting the resident. That not only may cause additional pain, it will cause additional anxiety, and they'll be scared. So use smooth motions whenever you're transitioning a person from one position to another. Provide a comfortable bed or chair surface. Make sure you have a clean surface with no wrinkles. Use those pressure relieving devices, whether you've got a pressure mattress in the bed, if you've got a gel cushion in the wheelchair, if you've got a cushion in the recliner, whatever it is, make sure that those are in place. Because if you've got that pressure going on, in addition to the pain that's already there, that's just going to compound everything all over again. So you may want to promote relaxation with activities such as a massage or a warm bath. That may help the resident. Say the resident has rheumatoid arthritis. Sometimes that, will make their joints and their fingers hurt really bad. So you may massage their hand to kind of help them relax with that. You may want to give somebody a warm bath if they have a back, if their back is hurting. Use distraction. Distraction is another really good technique. So you may ask them, well, can I play some music for you? Do you want to watch TV? Do you want to read a book? Do you want to go do a game or a puzzle? Just anything that will distract them from their pain. Those can definitely help if they focus their attention on another positive activity. Sometimes even just talking to the resident. If you're helping reposition them, if they're in pain, you can kind of work on getting the pillows all positioned, maybe rub their back and talk to them. Those are all three super simple, easy ways to help relieve pain that you can do all at the same time and kind of help your resident relax. So, this picture is a universal pain assessment tool. So, this is kind of similar to what we've been talking about already. So, this goes from no pain to the worst pain possible. You can see it on a scale of 0 to 10, and you can also see it on the faces. So, this is one of the very, very common tools that you can use to help determine whether or not someone is having pain. So use the observations that are identified as a means to find out if the pain was relieved. So, say you have somebody that's got a pain face that's, a 7 to 9. Severe pain, it's interfering with their basic needs. The nurse may give the person some pain medicine. You go back and check on them about 45 minutes later, and they're down to about a 2. They're happy, they're smiling, they say they feel better. Thank you. I'm glad that you told the nurse so I can get better. Thank you for your help. So, some residents may tell you that they have relief or continuation of pain. You may have that resident that's had the pain at an 8, interfering with their basic needs. They say, no, I can't get up out of bed, I'm hurting too bad. They get medication. You go back. Well, they're at a 7 now. They're still interfering with their basic needs to try to get rid of that pain. So you need to take all that information back to the nurse. Observe that nonverbal activity. Observe the way their face looks. Observe their body language. If their muscles are tense. If they're relaxed, if they've got that non furrowed brow, if they've stopped clenching their jaw, if they're not wringing their hands, that's all indications that the resident has relaxed. And report all your observations to your nurse. So that concludes our PowerPoint on meeting the residents' needs for comfort and rest. If you have any questions, please contact your instructor. Thank you and have a wonderful day.